Background. Mother-in-law has always crossed lines and boundaries. But since it was always at her house before me and my other half had moved in together, I always felt like I couldn't really say anything. Before we went away, she asked us if we wanted her to tidy. I told her no. She asked my other half, he said no. She texted again while we were on holiday, and we said no. I go to university, work up to 30 hours a week some weeks, and my other half works full-time, as well as on-call and overtime. We have hectic lives, so yes, a lot of the time our house can be a mess when we haven't had a day off. When I say mess, washing not put away, the usual, etc. We came home yesterday. She'd picked us up from the airport and she had told me in the car that she'd done some washing. Instantly, I'm pee off. I get back to my house. She tries to give me the key to my own house. We walk in. She offers me a cup of tea in my own house and then tells me I have to go get the washing in. This is the first part. I actually surprise myself and say firmly, no, I'll go get it in. I noticed she has tidied downstairs and it annoys me. We told her no. She makes a point of saying, and yes, I did tidy. So I turned around and said, yes, I appreciate it, but I'm not happy about it. We told you no. She gets upset and offended and immediately walks out of our house. I go upstairs and this is when I lose it. My bedrooms are spotless. She has put all washing away, reorganized toiletries, remade our bed. She has touched my clothes. She has touched my themes. She has touched and seen my underwear and thinks it's acceptable. Who does that? Honestly, what woman thinks that it is acceptable to go through a 24-year-old woman's things? All of my things, may I add. Everything upstairs has been touched in some way. I have a study room in my box room. It is filled with things at the moment. It also has a Christmas card, a teddy bear, and a judge's gavel on my desk. My uncle passed away at Christmas. I came home from the hospital to find the Christmas card. The teddy was something I took to the hospital, and the gavel was meant to be a Christmas present for him that was then given to me. He studied and loved the law, and I am a law student. That room is my room. It has my things that I placed and haven't touched since, really. And she has been in there. The card was not in the way I placed it, and I had had a panic attack when I knew she'd been in there, that she had thrown away the envelope with his writing on it that was under the card. She had been in there. She had attempted to tidy. There were bags under the desk, winter shoes, winter uniform, etc., all under there until I had a chance to pull it out. She'd moved all of those bags. She had been through it all. I feel violated. It is the only way I can describe it. She has abused our trust. She has crossed boundaries. She has invaded our privacy. I feel like we've been burgled, that somebody has been through our things. I cried for about 2 hours yesterday, sat on the end of my bed, because my house didn't feel like my house. Everywhere I looked there was something she'd moved or touched, and it was constant reminders that she'd been into our bedroom. She has always cleaned for my other half when he lived at home. And I know that she'll try and justify it. I was cleaning for my son. I was tidying my son's bedroom. Her son is 26 next month. His bedroom is in her house. Our bedroom is in our house. I have told my other half that I want little to no contact with her. I'll be civil if I must see her, and if he wants his mom to come around, I don't want to be accused of ruining their relationship. I'll go upstairs. He normally would not say anything to his mom, and this is the problem. She has never called out on her nonsense. But I guess he knew I was serious last night because he'd text her. We hadn't spoke for 2 hours. I was too upset and I think he felt awkward. And then there was a knock on the door. His mom actually turned up on our doorstep crying to her son. Thankfully, he did not let her in, but took her outside to talk instead. She hasn't as much as even attempted to text me to apologize, not that I want it. She is giving me anxiety now that she's going to turn up at my house. She no longer has a key and will never be allowed one or trusted to have access when we're not here. Everybody I've spoken to about this is just shocked. I just don't understand how she even for a second thought it was acceptable. She hasn't been upstairs since we moved in, but as soon as we go away, she's straight up those stairs. I'm mad. I'm upset. I don't know. Okay, so it has been 3.5 weeks since we got back from holiday. I have had zero contact with her, thankfully. My boyfriend has still maintained contact and sees her, takes our puppy to see her, which I can't have a problem with. She's still his mom, and he wants a relationship with her. That's his choice, not mine, and I would never try to influence it. The impact this is having on my boyfriend is simply catastrophic, and so I decided that I love him more than I hate her. So I would open up communication, but by making it expressly clear what my position on things are. He has told me that after trying to get her to understand a few times, she understands what she's done wrong, is so apologetic and wants to apologize to me, but he's told her not to text me. So here are the messages. Me. Future mother-in-law, I will never be able to explain to you how much your actions while we were away and when we came home have affected me. I know that boyfriend has explained, but you still will never know the true effect. I felt completely violated. I felt like my privacy had been entirely invaded, and that you have absolutely no respect for me or our home being ours. Our relationship has been damaged, and will never be the same again, which is a shame after all these years, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive your actions. There is simply no justification for what you did. I have remained silent towards you as I originally preferred to have no contact with you again. However, the impact this is having on boyfriend is catastrophic, and I love him too much to put him through that. I do not want to live my life avoiding you and putting obstacles in my relationship. I would like you to still respect my decision to not come to our home for the foreseeable future, but I am willing to have some form of relationship with you with clear boundaries towards both of us, our home, and our thoughts on things. Please keep this between us. Her reply: How dare you send me this? How dare you? Read this back on yourself and feel what I feel. You need help. Never ever use my son's name in your defense of self-pity. I haven't replied. I was simply gobsmacked. I need some advice. I haven't spoken to boyfriend about it yet as he wasn't home until really late last night. The comment in the first paragraph is about our relationship, mine and hers, but I wonder if she thinks I'm talking about my relationship with boyfriend. I didn't reply to future mother-in-law, but I have received a text from future sister-in-law today. Good morning, OP. 1. Please stop sending my mother inappropriate texts. You of all people should know she can't handle conflict and bullying. 2. I was not getting involved, but now I feel you are clearly trying to control the situation. 3. If my mom violated your home, then clearly your sister violated my brother's home, as she was there when my mom arrived and she had a key, as did my mom, with my brother's wishes. 4. Do not respond to this message, and do not contact me, my family, and especially my mom ever again. 5. My mother's entered my brother's home to make sure he had clean clothes on his return from holiday, and put a few things away of his as he has been working all week. 6. I hope you sit back and realize that from a kind act of helping and caring for you as she always has, this has become such an upsetting and awful thing. Please stay away from my mom and me. I hope you truly realize what you have done by making my mom out to be an awful woman. How dare you? She is broken, and I won't put up with it. I sent a reply which is super long and basically outlined in a respectful way what the case actually was. Her reply was absolutely hilarious, with a crying laughing emoji. For reference, while we were away on holiday, my sister asked me if she could go to our house to use my printer. She texted asking for permission despite having a key. I knew she was there the whole time she was there, just in case people think there's double standards going on here. Am I overreacting by not wanting my mother-in-law to feed my children anymore after this crap that she's pulled? My 9-year-old daughter became a vegetarian about 8 months ago, her friend's older sister's influence, and takes it surprisingly serious given her age. For some bizarre reason, my mother-in-law has a serious bug up her ass about it, and hates that my husband and I allow it. We had a small confrontation about it a few months ago, but she seemed to back off after I made it clear I wasn't interested in her input. On Friday night, we had dinner with my husband's parents, and she served spaghetti. It was a meat sauce for the rest of us, but when she gave my daughter her bowl, she said, "And a special veggie sauce just for you," all sweetly. Halfway through her bowl, daughter started to panic and asked mother-in-law if she was sure there was no meat in the sauce. Mother-in-law insisted there was none. I took her plate to inspect, and sure enough, there was beef in her sauce. When I stated there was indeed meat in it, my daughter immediately began to cry. I took her into the living room to calm her down while husband confronted his mom. She at first insisted it was an accident, but after he established he didn't buy that for 1 second, she admitted it was intentional. She said she thought by reminding her how delicious meat was, she would give up that vegetarian nonsense. She said she couldn't see what the big deal was, and suggested we get daughter therapy because the fact she cried over it was very troubling and a sign something is wrong with her. At that point, I insisted we leave. I was starting to seriously consider throwing the spaghetti in the bee's face, but knew it would traumatize the kids. In the car, we obviously explained to daughter that there was nothing wrong with her and grandma was 100% in the wrong. She seemed to have already come to that conclusion on her own, though. Mother-in-law sent a half-assed text apology to my husband last night. Basically, I shouldn't have done that, but insert essay about why eating meat is no big deal and daughter overreacted here. He hasn't responded because we're still trying to figure out what to say and how to handle the situation. I'm beyond livid. He's trying to figure out things to say to get her to understand daughter's feelings. like asking her how she would feel if someone tricked her into eating a dog. However, I strongly feel like we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to defend our daughter's personal choice not to eat meat and her right to have that respected. We shouldn't have to try to validate her feelings of being deeply upset after she was tricked into doing something she is strongly, morally opposed to by someone she trusted. I told my husband I don't trust his mother to feed my kids anymore. He thinks I'm overreacting and we should give her a second chance once the dust settles with this, but my trust is gone. She took it upon herself to decide my daughter was wrong for being a vegetarian and try to fix her. She decided she knows best and to ignore not only my daughter's boundaries, but ours as her parents not to push meat on her. It also worries me because our 5-year-old has a peanut allergy that she scoffs at. She's never tried to sneak her peanut butter products, but she's dismissed it as probably not serious, and has said how people outgrow allergies, so she probably will too. After this incident with the meat, I'm terrified she'll decide to ignore that food restriction too. What do you guys think? Am I overreacting for feeling like she shouldn't be given a second chance when it comes to feeding my kids after this? The background details are in my previous post, but the short version is, my mother-in-law tricked my daughter into eating meat a few days ago. Dear husband texted her today to let her know dear daughter wants me to take her trick-or-treating instead of mother-in-law like we initially planned. I guess this got it through to mother-in-law what a massive betrayal it was, and she actually felt genuine remorse. She said she was going to talk to dear daughter and apologize. We were very relieved because we worried it would be like pulling teeth to get her to see that what she did was awful. My daughter just got home from school screaming, "Grandma got me a puppy!" Turns out that my mother-in-law went to a pet store and bought a Pomeranian puppy to try to make it up to her. After texting her a sincere apology, she sent her a picture of the puppy. I have no idea what to do. To be fair to mother-in-law, we said we decided to get a second dog that would mostly be for dear daughter. I'm sure her motivation was genuinely to do something nice for her, and she probably thought she was helping us by paying for a dog so we didn't have to. However, this is not what we wanted for a second dog. First of all, my husband was militant that he didn't want a Pomeranian when I considered one for our first dog, so he is going to be livid. For our second, we wanted a medium to large dog from either a reputable breeder or a shelter. The fact it's from a pet store guarantees the dog is from a puppy mill or backyard breeder, which means a high likelihood of health problems. It also feels incredibly manipulative that she got the dog and sent dear daughter a pic before asking if it was all right. Am I jumping to conclusions for thinking she intentionally did that so I couldn't tell her no without my daughter thinking I'm Satan? I also question if she texted her while she was at school, so there was no risk of me seeing it before her. I feel like we have no choice but to keep the dog, or else my daughter's heart will completely break. I have no idea how my husband is going to react though. He's at work, and I won't be able to discuss this with him for hours. Meanwhile, my daughter keeps talking about how excited she is about the dog, and I don't know how to respond other than feigning enthusiasm for her sake. I'm very worried my husband will insist we can't keep the dog, and I have no idea what to do if that's the case. On one hand, I want to respect him, but I also don't want to crush my daughter. Would I be in the wrong if I pushed to keep the dog? I'm a stay-at-home mom, so between me and dear daughter, it's not like he'd have to care for it at all. He would just have to exist around it, and I'd like to think he would warm up to it after some time. Also, I don't know what to say to mother-in-law at all. Any advice on how to handle this is very much appreciated. Update. Husband and I discussed it, and we will not be keeping the dog. He talked to his mother, and apparently she cannot return it, so she is going to keep it. We told dear daughter that grandma is keeping the palm, and we will be taking her to a shelter next weekend to pick whichever dog she wants, as long as it gets along with the one we already have. She did not seem the least bit disappointed, as it means 2 new dogs in her life, so at least there's that silver lining to the situation. Dear husband and I are now in the process of figuring out the appropriate consequences for his mother, and plan on having a very serious discussion with her within the next few days. I will let the sub know how that goes. Thank you so much everyone for your advice. So my other half and I have been a couple 9 years, married 6, with 2 children that are 10.5 months apart. However, we had actually dated for a few months exactly 10 years previously, but I wasn't ready to settle down, and he was too quiet. I loved him, but we were too different. So fast forward 10 years and we meet again. I've been invited to his home for dinner and I never left. We were more in love now than ever, and after 2.5 months, we were engaged. We didn't want to miss spending any more time apart. However, his family found out about me and demanded to meet me. Other half was reluctant as he didn't actually like any of them, but he relented. First encounter was almost all of the family at one of the niece's birthdays. I felt like I was on trial. Every time other half left the room, I was inundated with questions, my banging. But here's the good bit. So we get a dinner invite to his mother's for food and games. So me here still trying to look like I'm good enough, we say yes. Now my other half must have called her, text and left messages, letting her know that I am highly allergic to onions and asked if that can be left out. The day arrives, we knock and I can smell onions right away, so I excuse myself to the bathroom to dab a light scent under my nose so that I can try to avoid being sick just over a little smell. I expressed my concerns to my other half as soon as coats were taken and drinks were being taken. He said he had already smelt it but that it was probably in the stuffing so easy to avoid, except it wasn't. When the table was laid and we sat at it and waited for food, I kid you not, literally everything had onions in it. Even things that had no right having onions. Yep, she's put onions on it. Her defense was, "Oh, I thought your message said she loved onions. My mistake. Oh, we'll just eat around it." Oh my God, she had to be kidding me. Here's some of the things that she invented for me. Mash with spring onions, chicken stuffed with sage and very stinky onion stuffing, and she had basted it with onion oil too. Onion dips, onion bhajis. Honestly, the only thing that didn't have onions on it was the French stick, as we brought that with us. My other half almost lost it, but I kissed his cheek and said, "Be civil, I'll grab McDonald's on the way home." Other half ate the dinner with daggers, and I ate bread. The mother-in-law noticed and asked why I wasn't eating anything. So I said, "I'm allergic to every form of onion, and I don't have my pen with me." Her face dropped, and she mumbled something and stormed off. We didn't wait to see if she was okay, and the smell had already made me hurl. Other half didn't hear from her for almost 3 months, and only then it was to say congrats on hearing about us becoming pregnant. But that's another story.